Hello, welcome to my channel. I am the work wife. My name is Rachel, and here we go with the weird lighting again, like last video. But today's video is going to be a little bit different because I'm going to talk about neurodivergence and toxic people and imposter syndrome. That sounds like a lot. But it just occurred to me that imposter syndrome, it's a problem for many. I know it's been a problem for me. But I realized it really is compounded if you have some sort of neurodivergent diagnosis like ADHD or Asperger's or something of that nature, in your life at the same time. How it could really amplify those feelings and what you can do about it. But before I jump in, I am a workplace and mindset coach with nearly 20 years corporate experience dealing with some toxic work environments and some toxic people where I successfully navigated my way out and through those environments. So if you're dealing with a situation like that and or you know someone who is and you're not in a position to leave your job, or they aren't either, but they're dealing with that whatever that situation is, or whoever that person is day in day out, I can help. So please email me at theworkwifellc@gmail.com, or send me a message on Instagram or TikTok at theworkwife, and I would love to help. And be sure to like this video and subscribe. I would love it if you were a subscriber, so that it would really help my channel grow and help me reach more people. So I was thinking about this since I was relatively recently diagnosed with ADHD, which was a shock to me because, I had experience with ADHD in my family, and you hear about the typical symptoms of hyperactivity and in it being inattentive or impulsive, and I had never really associated those qualities with me, especially not being hyperactive. If anything, I tended towards being so low blood pressure. Sometimes people wondered how I was alive. So, tended towards, at least outwardly, very calm, maybe not inwardly, which was interesting. So that kind of tells the tale. I mean, people always, they say, "Oh, you seem so easygoing," and I'm like, well, maybe not on the inside. Yeah, so I was, diagnosed with ADHD in the last few years. And I'm now being able to associate a lot of the pressures or internal pressures that I had and things that I struggled with throughout my life with that. It doesn't explain everything. The diagnosis doesn't explain everything. But certainly having trouble remembering certain things, like it was weird. I was able to, my short-term memory was very good in terms of memorizing something straight out of a book or memorizing math problems or things like that. But concepts or long-term strategies or being able to think on my feet or think outside the box were very difficult for me. Conceptual things were different for me. If someone was implying something, I had difficulty picking up on it. That's why I tended to be gullible, which also was part of why people loved making me laugh, because I'd fall for every joke because I took everyone seriously. I couldn't really pick up on, humor. So, yeah, so just things like that I had trouble with. So definitely playing into that imposter syndrome, feeling that I was somehow different, or, if I was working hard or tried to, I wanted to be one of the smart kids and not understanding why I wasn't getting certain things that other so-called smart kids were getting. Definitely played into, as I got older, the sense that I had to maintain a certain image, and why wasn't I doing as well as others? Or people would assume that I would know things and I would still struggle, so then I would seek to hide that. Or, as I said, since I was unable to really pick up on jokes very well, I also took things very deeply and very seriously. So if I perceived myself to be rejected, which is actually, I just found out a new diagnosis of ADHD people have rejection sensitivity disorder, RSD. That's something brand new that I just heard about. You tend to take any kind of criticism or perceived rejection super deeply. You know, it's not just like, oh man, that sucked. It's like, oh, I'm a horrible human being and I will never overcome this. I will never recover from this. I've had a lot of those moments. So how does this work with imposter syndrome? And, you know, if you have such a diagnosis in the workplace, when you're dealing with toxic people who are constantly on your case, are constantly giving you a hard time, that's hard for anyone. And then in addition to that, then you've got all these layers that you're trying to navigate. So the thing that I've learned to do is journal. And this is not a new thing. But because I have so many thoughts running through my mind at any given moment. And you would never know because I seem to look like this and I'm just like so calm. And meanwhile, I have probably 25,000 things I'm thinking about right now. Get it out of your head. What is it? The yin yang twins? Get out of your mind. Get it out of your head. Write it down. Journal it. You don't have to be fancy about it. I remember when I would watch videos about journaling or scripting or things of that nature to try to get your feelings out, you know, get your goals out, write them down, the qualities you want, you know, in a job or, you know, whatever whatever it is. I get caught up in the methodology, which is also part of the ADHD, where you get easily distracted by shiny things. So a lot of times I would get more wrapped up in what color markers I want for my journaling than just actually writing the damn thing down. So my advice for those of you who have such thoughts running through your mind a million miles an hour, help yourself and get it out on paper. It doesn't have to be fancy. You don't have to have different colored pens. You don't have to have perfect penmanship. You don't have to have the perfect words. You don't need to, in terms of if you're doing affirmations, you don't have to say I am, you know, much is made of that for various reasons that I won't go into here. You don't have to have it perfectly laid out and perfectly written. It could be a scribble scrabble for all I care, as long as you get it out of your mind and it stops percolating to the point that you are paralyzed. You know, analysis, what is this? Paralysis by analysis, which happens frequently to me. If you're having those imposter syndrome feelings of, I don't feel good enough for this job, I don't feel good enough for, you know, for this role, people aren't paying me respect, or, you know, why should they pay me respect? I don't know what I'm doing, blah, 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 and it just spirals from there. Write it down. And counter. Don't just write down the negative crap. Because goodness knows, when I look back to the old diaries that I used to have as a kid, and I would just kind of laugh at my elementary school me or middle school me, especially high school me, with so much angst. And it would just be like, today was a horrible day. And I would just laugh when I would read it now. Right? So don't just write pages upon pages of, this was a shitty day. Find something, find one thing, find two things. Doesn't even matter. I had a great sandwich today. I keep thinking about, clearly, the last video I started talking about sandwiches. Clearly, I'm hungry. It doesn't matter. It absolutely does not matter what it is that you're trying, you know, that you counter the negative thoughts. Write down, you know, yeah, today was a shitty day. Today is going, I don't know if I'm good enough at this job. I don't know what's going on with these people, these toxic people. How am I going to deal with this? However, you know, and maybe then you want to use a different color or something fun. I have like scratch and sniff pens, so I have like strawberry and blueberry pancakes. See what I was talking about with food? Maple syrup. Yeah. Anyway, if you want to write something positive, you know, find a way to emphasize that. So if you go back and look at your journal, you're attracted to the positive part, not the negative part. So find a way to maybe separate that out so that it draws your attention. If you need to go back to something, if you've written something to try to motivate yourself, you want to draw that to draw your eye in your journal, not the negative shit, right? So I hope that this has helped. I mean, it was really just something that occurred to me that, you know, for people out there who have ADHD, people out there who have issues being attentive, or imposter syndrome, or things that are running their minds, you know, like a hamster wheel. And on the top of that, you're trying to deal with a toxic work environment. It can be very, 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 very challenging. So I would love to hear your story. If you're dealing with something like that right now, especially the ADHD aspect, if you've been recently diagnosed as an adult, you've been going years and you realize, oh, that's why I do what I do. Send me a message, and I'd love to hear from you, and I'd love to help. So until next time, stay cool, stay centered, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.